I want to talk a little bit about what LinkedIn has to say about branding. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this course, one of the number one most important rules is that when you're doing personal branding, you want to make sure that you're memorable. So what does the LinkedIn think tank have to say about what makes brands memorable? Well, there are basically just two criteria. Number one, the brand has to be distinctive, so different, maybe a little bit weird. And the second thing is that it needs to be consistent. So using the same colors, the same language, the same style, the same choice of words, these types of things. Now, consistency is something that you can maintain by having a formal brand guide that says, here's the kind of terminology, here's the tone of voice I'm going to use, here's the style or the color scheme that's going to be applied whenever I present myself, here's what the end cap is going to look like on my videos or the front cap. The headlines of all my videos are going to have the same font, like this type of thing builds consistency. Consistency is also applied in terms of maybe the topics that you talk about or the depth or how narrow the conversation is that you're taking. So a good example that I'm going to highlight once again is this social media icon, Dot Lung, who has done a very good job of being distinctive, of being strange. So for example, we look at her kind of cartoon-like depiction of herself. It's the mother of social dragons. She's breathing fire. She has this unicorn on her head, like I showed you earlier with her headband. And it's very strange and distinctive. It doesn't look anything like any other social media marketing manager that I've seen out there. So she's definitely nailed the distinctive part to break through the crowd, to become memorable. Now, the other thing is she's consistent. It's not just random strangeness. There's a method to it. So the color scheme, for example, this red-blue color scheme you see throughout her brand design. You notice she's always using the unicorn. Like if it's not on her head, it's next to her on a couch. She has certain types of bright colors she likes to wear. She dyes her hair as well. These things are not random. There's a level of consistency, even though it is a bit strange. It's consistently strange. So the key thing that the LinkedIn tells us is don't be bland and boring, because bland and boring people are forgotten. You want to be memorable, and being memorable sometimes requires a bit of risk-taking, as we see here with Dot Lung, the mother of social dragons. I can't wait to meet this person someday. Okay, so what else does LinkedIn say about brand marketing in general? Well, the slogan they keep repeating is aim for fame. Basically, they're saying the number one goal of brand marketing is to be famous because of this point here. Famous brands are always considered. And this is like what I was showing you earlier with Dr. Jeffrey Pfeffer, was that if you're memorable, you're picked. If you're not remembered, you're not even considered. So when a company is looking to hire you, let's say you're a consultant, you want to be one of those names that pops into their head. If you're not famous, that's just never going to happen. And they're just going to go with whoever's sort of readily available when they do a Google query or when they ask around, like, who do you recommend? Who have you heard of? That's what's going to happen if you're not famous. Now, that's if you're a consultant. If you're on YouTube, well, people are going to search for certain people that they know that are influential on YouTube. Or, whatever the trigger point is, maybe it's a lawsuit, who's a famous lawyer that you think of. And whatever area you're in, you want to be famous for whatever that is. So aiming for fame is your number one goal. Now, a lot of marketers overcomplicate brand marketing and they say, it has to do with brand perception, it has to do with purchase intent. And it's like, yeah, you can monitor those things. You can monitor brand awareness generally. But basically the goal is, are you famous or not within the target market that you're focusing on? The other thing I want to point out, and I'm going to go into a bit more detail on this later, is that your brand is fundamentally different from your product and your services brands can be changed as well. So you can apply different brands, different personalities to different products and services to add value, because sometimes brands destroy value in certain contexts. So when you think about the brand and the service as being separate items, you realize that the brand creates value in one way, and the products and services that you sell create value in different ways. And what that means is that the brand positioning can be quite a bit different from the product positioning. So the main point I want to make here is that when you're thinking of your personal branding strategy, it's more of an emotional thing, generally speaking, because it's, for one thing, dealing with longer time horizons. With brand marketing, you're focused on building memorability beyond 6 months, whereas when you're marketing a specific offer, like a consultation or selling advertising space on your channel, something like that, the positioning can be more rational because you're dealing with short-term decision making. But when you're trying to drive long-term impact and memorability, then you want to aim for an emotional impact. So that's why a lot of this discussion around personal branding is things like style and impact and how you convey yourself in superficial ways, because these are things that create more of an emotional position. Whereas rational things are more like, here are the case studies of what I achieved in the past. I got 99% uptick in social media traffic, like that sort of thing. That's not really a branding thing. That's a service marketing or product marketing type of thing. And those are very different. So just keep in mind that the number one goal of brand marketing is to be famous. You want to become the default choice for whatever it is that you're selling.